Hey, welcome back to Can I Kick It? It's me, Alex, and I'm here today with Jesse Coomer. We're going to start this one off with an excerpt from his book, A Practical Guide to Breathwork, a remedy for the modern human condition. Congratulations on your inheritance. Welcome, my fellow human. Much has changed since our ancestors first stood upright and walked the earth. You are the descendant of countless humans who came before you. All of them with their stories, their aspirations, their dreams, and their troubles. And your Neolithic grandparents have left you a gift, an inheritance passed down through the ages through the language of DNA. The fact that you're alive today is one part of your inheritance. In short, we hail from a long line of people who are at least somewhat proficient at not dying. Just think about that for a minute. There is an unbroken chain of mothers and fathers that stretch from the very first human being to you. This unbroken chain came with a great deal of struggle and difficulty. And here you are, the beneficiary. Kicking it with Jesse Coomer. All right, welcome, Jesse.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's good to have you here, man. It's
good to be here.
We had a good conversation. Like I was saying on my last podcast, it's more fun to hang out before the podcast than the actual podcast. Well, it's a close second. But, yeah, man, welcome to Can I Kick It? So I kind of wanted to start off today by letting our viewers know that I met Jesse in 2014 when you came to see me at where I was living.
That was yeah. You've had a better. You're much better digs now. Yeah, I would say.
I mean, yeah, jail's not fun. We'll just tell you, it's jail.
Oh man, that was
but that was like so. Okay, so you got to look at it from my point of view. Yeah. The first time I meet you. You're coming into jail. This shit's unheard of. To teach me how to write because you're a professor at BU, right?
That's
and you
right.
met with the one. Shout out to Pete Haskins. We'll get that out of the way real quick. Pete's our buddy. He's a hell of a dude. So you came in and you. I think we did a section on paradigm shift in writing, based off of that story.
Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He tells a story about the subway paradigm shift.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, actually, this was a guy got hung on a bridge during the Civil War. I can't remember the name. Do you remember that? So there's a guy.
I don't remember that.
The guy's about to get hung, and then you find out later. It was like you had a printout. Okay, it's like 3 different stories.
So I don't even remember my lesson.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to call you out. I didn't mean to call you out, dude. God,
this is great.
VU must be great.
You got to tell me more about this assignment that I came up with.
But I mean, that's not even the point of the story, really. The point of the story was you came to help out people in need, and I think a lot of people in jail feel like, they feel like terrible. You know? They feel terrible, but more so than that, they feel outcast by society, and that leads to it's an endless cycle of. Feeling unwanted, so you become unwanted, and then you go out into society just wreaking havoc, you know?
Well, and that becomes your story, right?
Yeah.
That's the problem with it. It is that it's like, oh, my story is that I'm unwanted. That's who I am.
Identity.
And so you know, whenever I remember the subway paradigm shift. I don't remember the other one.
We can go through that.
So eventually we'll maybe afterwards you can tell me the story that
I'll
I
forgot.
It
real quick. No, it's cool.
But basically. You know, what I was hoping to do, and what we have to do is we also have to find the stories in our life that we're proud of, or that are actually interesting, because everybody has a story, and it's not just like, hey, I'm cellmate number 1 or whatever it is,
or just feeling like you're on the fringe, and even when you get out of jail, you're like, oh, I'm this jail guy. But I mean, you came there and you're trying to create something beautiful in jail, and I thank you for that, man.
Hey, you made something beautiful.
It was a rose in the jungle.
As I recall.
Yeah, I gave it to you.
Yeah.
I wrote a story about breaking up with this girl fresh out of high school. Everybody can identify with that, I think, except for girls.
Story is all this time.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, well, kind of. A little darker than that. But, Yeah, man. So what are you up to these days? I know are you still a professor?
So I still am a professor of English at Vincent's University.
Yeah.
A lot of hats lately. And that is my day job. And whenever I need to actually get the job done, sometimes grading goes into the night too. But but another thing that I've been doing and something I've been really excited about is spreading breath work. Okay. And so when it comes to breath work, I was actually, it was Pete Haskins. I'm going to blame Pete Haskins for this, our mutual friend. And as I recall, he was on an episode of this podcast not too long ago. So.
Yeah, it went so quick. I've been learning that I have to cut it off at about an hour or it's just too much. But maybe I'll get to a point where people will watch for 3 hours.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not Joe Rogan, unfortunately.
I've watched every single one of these
Well, I
episodes.
appreciate that, man. Thanks.
But yeah, so Pete taught me a form of meditation. And it really changed my life.
Transcendental?
It was actually an Eastern Orthodox style called hesychasm.
Oh,
and wow. So it was mystical and magical and just really, really amazing.
Charles Ashton probably taught him.
Probably.
Yeah. I've read a lot of his stuff. Yeah.
Actually, let's see. I think, I'm not sure if it was him. I think he went to England and did some kind of a...
Ted Nottingham.
One of those guys.
Yeah. One of Pete's
one of the Pete Club. Yeah,
the Pete gang.
So, but anyway, he taught this to me, and I was like, man, meditation is awesome. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. But I found out really quick that I'm terrible at it.
Yeah, I'm not very good at it either, dude, honestly.
And the joke that I always tell, right? And it's not that great of a joke, but hey, you didn't have me for
You're a
jokes.
dad, it's cool.
It's a dad. It really is kind of a dad joke. Is that meditation is the easiest thing in the world. All you do is sit there and don't think about anything.
Yeah, that's how I started, man. Somebody told me just think of a white wall and nothing else. And I never realized how difficult that is. But that brings you to the awareness that your mind's running without you.
Right. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, that's so true. So I mean, I still have a long way to go. I've tried past life regression. I don't know if I necessarily believe it's a past life thing, but it's interesting because I had visuals of stuff I've never seen before. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like it's like resetting a a almost. It's kind of what you're doing, something like that. Yeah.
I've heard it described as whenever you meditate, it's almost as if you're forced to check all of your old emails that you should have gotten to earlier. And
Backlog,
that's kind of how it was for me, because as soon as I would be like, sit down, nice and quiet, and just, okay, I've got a great comfortable position. Okay. And then I'd clear my mind and I would focus on the process of meditation. And before I knew it, I was thinking about that person that irritated me earlier the day, or, what I'm going to eat for lunch, or, all these...
Who was it that irritated you that
day? You just named the day. It's somebody different. But
there's always one. Yeah.
But, I mean, I could have told you that day, and especially whenever I was in that supposed state of meditation. And so... What I found was that I was just terrible at it, and I decided to try to do research, because there's a lot of evidence that meditation is amazing, right? It's fantastic. It's great for you.
Thousands of years of evidence.
Yeah, we've been meditating as human beings as far as we can remember.
Yeah.
And so I was scrolling through the internet looking for ways to meditate better. And I came across, I was doing some yoga at the time, and one of the branches of yoga is pranayama, which
I've read that in the book.
Yeah, and pranayama is, it's like essentially prana is like breath or life force, and then yama is like to lengthen or to control. And so pranayama is
Sanskrit?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so what it is, so I started looking into pranayama, and the problem is I was like, what I think so many of us are, I was so out of touch with like my own feelings and emotions and who I was or anything. I just so out of touch with anything that even though I was trying to practice some pranayama, I never really felt anything. It was just kind of like, oh, some woo nonsense almost to me.
To you, yeah.
And I've since come around and I practice pranayama every day. But at the time I was like, I just don't see anything. But I still kept searching. And then one day I was scrolling on the internet and I found a article. You know how you scroll on the internet? It's kind of weird, the weird side of the internet too.
Reddit,
it's like you're kind of just scrolling around. You seeing all this weird stuff. Aliens are among us and things. You know, these types of things.
Oh,
yeah. And like it's the stuff that you click on and you're like, you know, it's my internet. I'm not gonna. No one's gonna know. I'm gonna. Okay, yeah, lizard people. Okay, or whatever. You know. Well, one day I clicked on this article and it said, learn to influence your immune system consciously.
That's sick. Man.
And I was like, that is so stupid. But of course I clicked on it.
That's literally sick. Dude.
Yeah, it literally is sick. Right? And so I clicked on it thinking that I would just kind of pass judgment, you know?
Yeah.
And then, that's nonsense.
Let's see what these weirdos are up to.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
And so, but instead, what happened was there was this guy named Wim Hof getting interviewed, and he was...
Was this before Joe Rogan?
This is well before Joe Rogan.
Really?
Yeah, this was 2014, 2015, somewhere around there.
Wow. And so this is right after I met you.
Actually,
right after that.
Yeah. So, so what I did is I read it, and there was a lot of science. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I thought
that's a game changer in it with Wim.
Really is.
Yeah, with Wim, I was like, okay. And then I was willing to try it, and then it just, oh man, it's the evidence is empirically clear.
Well, it is, and he had just proven that he could influence his immune system, which is something that up until it's like it really is. It's like there's no way you can do that. But he had shown that he can say, okay, no, I'm not going to have any symptoms, and then I'm going to go ahead and raise my immune system. So my a lot of these like the white blood cells, a lot of these the immune system was just purring right along.
So they're raising the white blood cell count, right?
Well, there's a lot of things involved, actually. One of the things that happens...
A lot of biology,
And this is stuff, if you want to find out more, go to WimHofMethod.com. There's all the information is there. But
copious amounts of information.
It really is. And so that was what really got me into that. And I'm like, well, maybe there's something here. Because what the Wim Hof method is essentially it's breath work. So it's a specific breathing technique. And then... and you use mindfulness, and then you also use cold exposure. So
I haven't gotten that far yet.
Well, and if you would have told me, I mean, seriously, at the time I was like, these are things.
Yeah.
Like, is that even a thing?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what you ought to do? Go breathe real hard. That'll help. What? You know,
so obvious.
I
really.
never, I never would have thought these were even like things, right, to do. And so, let alone, okay, you combine these and then you get this amazing result. So I started practicing Wim Hof method, and it was amazing. And it really just kind of blew my mind that something as simple as breath work and cold exposure could do anything, let alone some of the things that I was having happen. And what I really noticed a lot of, and this is something that I've been fighting really a lot of my life, is I've always been just an anxious person. It's kind of, it's the weird combination. I'm an extrovert, very extroverted, but I'm also very nervous. I'm highly excitable.
I think people are gone a little ham with the word anxiety lately. You know, I mean, not to diminish anyone's mental health problems, but the word anxiety gets thrown around and it's lost its connotation. Its connotation has changed. Yeah. And I think it's really, there's healthy anxiety as well. Healthy stress.
Absolutely healthy stress. Yes.
Maybe, see, that's what I'm saying. Anxiety is not the right word. More like stress or nervousness. Not to cut you off.
But you're right. There is such a thing as healthy stressors. Yeah. And we as human beings hate stress, right? I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want to have anything.
Sometimes I'll spend 3 or 4 days trying to get all these things done. I'm feeling good every time I accomplish something. Yeah. And then everything's done and I have a day and I'm like, wish I had something to do. It's like, and what you never get there, but it's the attempt.
And what that
Yeah.
is the effect of dopamine, right? So
Yeah.
dopamine is the chemical in our brain that, and I'm getting off topic from like my story, but this really,
my bad.
no, but that's fine. But this is really the I guess the epicenter of my issue, and why it's so important that I practice breath work regularly, is that dopamine is the chemical in our brain. A lot of people think it's a reward chemical, like for doing something, right? Okay, you did something, you get a reward, and it doesn't really work like that. It's more of it's a reward chemical that encourages you to do something. So it pushes you to do something specifically to eliminate uncertainty.
Yeah.
And so
motivation.
It's motivation, exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So what you're experiencing when you're accomplishing all these things, you're getting a lot of things done, you're getting all these dopamine hits because you're moving in the right direction, and that's the way your brain is supposed to work. You're doing things, you're getting stuff done, awesome. But what happens is, when you don't have anything to do, or if you're like me at like 2 a.m. in the morning, you wake up in the middle of the night, or all these things.
Still happens,
and you start getting in these worry cycles, and you just can't stop. And it's like, I know I can't really do anything. I'm supposed to be sleeping.
Didn't you call that a dopamine feedback loop?
Somebody read the book.
That makes so much sense now. Okay. I mean, I kind of got it, but that makes it make way more sense.
Absolutely.
And I've used that phrase feedback loop before to describe in my own writings and stuff. It makes a lot of sense. So I play electric guitar. So feedback.
We all know.
Yeah.
Every rocker
when you're
knows what a feedback loop is.
When you're micing your music and I don't know. Anyway.
No, it happens a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
But it's sort of cool too when you're on stage and it goes.
Yeah,
you know, it's kind of cool.
Hendrix was like the king of
he could kind of make it sound musical.
Yeah.
And then what happened with me is occasionally I'd accidentally make it sound good. I'm like, thank you, you know.
What was that?
Yeah. And then most of the time it would just be the microphone feeding back, and everybody's like, stop it.
So that in your brain.
But in your brain we have a feedback loop now, and a similar thing happens. So what happens is your brain says, hey, Alex, you need to figure this thing out, right? Yeah. You need to solve this problem. You need to eliminate this uncertainty in your life. And this, where it comes from, okay? Where this comes from, it's a very natural thing. It's the reason why our
wake up, get food.
You need to need to ensure that you can eliminate the uncertainty that is, you know, the basic necessities of
survival,
life, right? Yeah. So maybe you need to. Or you're about to go make camp, or you want to sleep and lay down. You want to make sure there's no snakes, right? There's uncertainty. You want to eliminate that uncertainty. And maybe, there's this hill over there. Wonder what's past that hill. Yeah. You know, that really is going to bug me. Yeah. But it will. And the thing is, that's healthy, because maybe past that hill, there's another tribe. Maybe I can find a partner that's outside of this DNA group.
Yeah. A world of possibilities.
Exactly, and so it's actually a good thing, but it can turn against us as well. Mm-hmm. So what happens is
we become obsessive. You know,
we do.
That's what it is. You want to make things easier, so you start making habits, and then those habits turn. I mean, as life goes on, things change, and you have to adapt.
Yeah.
But we want to get comfortable, so I mean that's why we're all living in houses and laying in beds,
and I don't want to not live in a house, right?
No, absolutely, yeah.
But like what happens with the dopamine feedback loop is that you'll have something that it's like, okay, I need to solve this problem, or I wonder what's going to happen to me at work tomorrow, right? Think about that one, right?
Unnecessary worry. Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it, right?
Yeah.
There's no way you can actually solve that problem at 2 a.m. in the morning of what's going to happen to you at work the next day.
Yeah.
But your brain doesn't necessarily understand that. So what it does is like, okay, I've been trying to give Alex dopamine so he can figure out what's going to happen tomorrow. He hasn't figured out what's going to happen tomorrow.
More dopamine.
I better send him some more dopamine. And it gives you more and more. Yeah. And eventually, your brain is like, okay, this dopamine isn't even working now, okay? So I'm going to have to start laying down some heavy stuff. So what it does, there's a part in your brain called the locus coeruleus.
Okay. And
it will release a chemical called norepinephrine.
Yes, I did a little research on this.
Yeah.
It's interesting, man. I want to add as a little sidestep. when you're on meth, when you do meth, it's 1,000 times your regular dopamine. Like it's up to the thousands of your dopamine level. So you want to talk about taking that to the next level. The obsessiveness. That's why people get stuck scraping. I'm not going to talk about meth the whole time, but people are like get stuck scraping a window or.
Well, I remember the joke was that it was terrible for your teeth, but great for your clean house. So
not true. I get it though.
That's the joke I always heard. I remember actually there was a guy I knew that came to one of my birthdays. I think it was my 21st birthday when I was really. I mean, it's been a while since I turned 21. But he had, I didn't know at the time, but he was on meth, and like he just cleaned his fingernails the entire time at the birthday party, and I was like. They look fine, man. They look fine. but yeah, the thing is, we get obsessive, and then when that locus coeruleus, it will give you a global dose of norepinephrine. We experience that as anxiety.
What do you mean a global dose completely?
It's their full brain.
Okay.
Your brain gets a big dose of norepinephrine, and what happens is. Norepinephrine in the wild, like the whole reason, what your brain is trying to do for you is trying to enhance your senses. So it's kind of cool. Okay. It's almost like the Predator movie or something like that, right? You're getting enhanced senses. So when you have this happen, all of your sensory inputs are amplified. And the thing is that causes us to freak out, right? Because it's like it makes us more sensitive. Now, what your brain is trying to do for you is make you more sensitive so you can solve the problem. You can smell the predator, or you can hear, or all of your senses are heightened. But that sucks when you're trying to go to sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. So what this was affecting me, right? And this is something that the Wim Hof method helped me a lot with. And I got to train directly with Wim Hof.
Yeah, what an opportunity, man.
It was amazing.
Unreal, yeah.
And I started to wonder what all this breathwork stuff was about, right? What is this? I mean, are there more things out there? I thought maybe I thought the Wim Hof method might be like this, almost kind of like some kind of a magic trick or something like that. But
like in the sense that it was false.
No, more like it was like, up, down, right, left, A, B, A, B, C. That it was like some kind of a secret code or something like that. Like
there's a discipline to it.
Yeah. I just thought it was like he stumbled across maybe some kind of a
cheat code.
A cheat code.
Yeah. Okay.
But what I realized was it's by doing research afterwards, and that's actually when I was writing the book. I was working with a neuroscientist, Dr. Autonomic from Wayne State University.
Who did the foreword?
He actually that was Casper Van der Meulen.
Okay.
He's a breath worker in the Netherlands, and actually he was a big part of my becoming a breath worker as well. So it was a real honor to get him to write the foreword.
Yes, that's great.
But when I was working with Dr. Autonomic, he really illuminated a lot of how breathing affects really everything. Factoid. Here's a cool factoid. All right. Did you know that human beings are the only animal that can consciously control their breathing? So
no, I didn't know.
So like if you have a dog and you're walking your dog.
Dolphins maybe.
Yeah, dolphins. This blew my mind. I was like, okay, otters, beavers, dolphins, whales. Yeah. No, that's all automatic. It's all autonomic.
Wow.
So it's controlled by their autonomic nervous system. Just like people who are listening to this right now, they're breathing without even thinking about it, right? And then now that I've mentioned it,
awareness.
I'm paying attention.
Yeah. Well, when you get aware of your heartbeat,
but the only thing is you can't control your heartbeat.
No, not directly.
Not directly.
Yeah. Oh,
you can directly. Yeah, you can directly control your breathing.
This is where I started to get excited about this stuff because it's like one of those things. Yeah, major aha. Yeah.
I've been doing this for years, and I still wake up every morning blown away that this works.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. If you let the world blow your mind, it will.
Yes.
All day long, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's so many things that really in the human experience. It's just amazing. Really, if you just open your eyes and look around.
Look around. Yeah. Wake up, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So when you get into this, when you start hijacking, what do you like to call it? Do you like to say hack or hijack or?
When we say hack, like a lot of times, and I use. Sometimes
I thought I heard you say you don't like the word hack.
I don't like the word hack. So I don't like saying biohacking and stuff like that, even though that's technically kind of the sphere that I'm in, right? But I don't like it because it if you use and of course maybe this is the English professor coming out, it implies that you're using something in a way that it's not supposed to be used. Right?
True.
And so that's not really how I like to look at breath.
It's more like getting back to the way it's supposed to be, right? Yeah.
So the average person
coming home,
exactly. I love that.
Yeah.
The average person, I think that one of the easiest ways to think about why taking our breath seriously is to think about if you've ever seen like a toddler, okay, they can do a perfect squat, right? You ever see them? They just sit down in a perfect squat, and you're just like, oh, man, I don't think I'm mobile enough to do something like that, right? But they can hang down there, in a perfect squatting position, just kind of just play with their toys and things like that. And
you mean like this?
Yeah, exactly. Like a perfect, like they're just playing and just like that, and doing this for most people.
I can't do it. Yeah, let me see.
I mean, for most people. This is a hard position to hang out in.
I'm pretty flexible though.
Yeah, you're doing great. You're doing great. But that is because we develop movement dysfunctions as we live. We sit in chairs. Oh yeah. Well, we sit in chairs, and I'm not going to give up chairs. Right? Nah. Chairs are pretty cool. They're a time-tested technology.
I mean, they stayed around. Yeah. Can you imagine a world without chairs?
I mean, who was the guy that invented the first chair? He's like, guys, I've got this idea. I know you think I'm crazy.
It's probably whoever cut down the first tree.
he's like, I think I can make something out of this thing.
When you see a stump, you're just like, man, I gotta sit on that. Yeah. There's something about it.
Chairs, man. Yeah. But what he didn't know is he's gonna ruin us, right? And so what happens is, and we see this a lot in the West, especially, like in third world countries, they'll just sit in the squat more. But we sit down all the time. And so we'll start seeing a lot of movement dysfunctions. And you'll start seeing, and of course, we all know about the cell phone neck and a lot of these things, and they affect our structures. Well, our breathing is also affected. And what happens is, and what I didn't realize, and what I was doing, is my breath had been affected a lot. And I guarantee you, there are a lot of people out there, a lot of clients that I help will have dysfunctional breathing patterns that constantly reinforce anxiety. And they put them into a state of anxiety. And there's a lot of people out there who don't realize it. Yeah, they're already anxiety, in high anxiety, so they breathe in a way that reinforces that. And so let me just give you an example. So for instance, the way that we're programmed is that normally, and if you look at a baby, so this is the thing, we're born pretty much like set when it comes to the way we breathe, the way we move. If you look at a baby sleep, they are perfect breathers. They breathe down to the belly.
On a metronome.
And they don't overbreathe. They're nice and slow. And you see them walk around, they got the big old pot bellies, right, in the diaper or whatever, walking around. They don't care. They don't need about the abs, right? They don't care about that. They don't even. They're just like, yep.
Yeah, sex ain't even on the table.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
But what happens is, what that does is it reinforces a relaxed state if you breathe down to the belly. Yeah. So what we're going to do, we talked about doing some breathing techniques.
Yeah,
let's take a quick breath break, right? And then we'll get back into talking. So this is a technique that is commonly known as the 4-7-8 breathing technique. I call it the cadence of bliss.
Okay.
Because it sends signals to our autonomic nervous system. It's not going to put you to sleep, and it's not going to make you fight or flight.
478.
478.
Okay.
So what this is what we're going to do, and you can do this in a chair. I know.
You hypocrite.
Yeah, I know. I know. I was just talking about chairs.
You just blew your whole.
I know. I just gotta. Okay, just edit all that out, right? Okay.
Yeah, we got you. That'll be 220 down.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we want to sit straight up in a chair, and the thing is about posture is we want to. The proper posture is a neutral spine. So we're not just like going like this. We're not going down like this.
Yeah.
We're just nice and neutral spine. And that is so that we can set up our whole breathing mechanism the way it's going to naturally work
nice
best
and wide
for us.
open.
Yeah, nice and wide open. And so, and you know, you and I are wearing blue jeans, but if we were, you know, wearing, you know, regular COVID attire, right, which is
naked?
sweatpants,
Yeah.
or which is completely nude.
I'm never naked.
Yeah, he's a never nude.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
So
He's a never nude. What was that guy's
Tobias?
name? Tobias.
Tobias
Yeah, on Arrested Development. Yeah.
But anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a nice neutral spine, and we're going to breathe in for 4 seconds. And when you do, you're going to start in your belly. Okay, you're going to start really expanding all the way around your belly, and then you're going to really flare out the ribs and then your chest. Okay, in that order. So we start in the belly, and then the ribs, we really want to stretch those, bring them out, you know. So really flare those ribs out. You should really feel that. And then at the end, you're going to expand your chest. Okay, and you're going to do that when we're going to breathe in for 4 seconds. And then when you have a nice full lung at 4 seconds, we're going to hold our breath with a full lung for 7 counts. Okay? And then we're going to exhale for 8 seconds. All right? And I'll show you what it's going to look like. Okay? And
that's why it's 478.
478.
Okay,
exactly.
gotcha.
Uh-huh.
All right.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, you got this. Yeah. And so basically, I'm going to show you what it looks like, and then I'll guide you through.
Great.
Okay? So essentially, it's going to be like this. I'm going to breathe in through the nose, and on the exhale, I'll breathe out through the mouth. Okay. So here it goes. Okay, that's 1 round.
Okay.
Now I'm going to guide you through 4 rounds. Okay. And this is a technique that I use a lot of times if I'm nervous, if I'm going to maybe go into an interview or an important phone call or some kind of a thing. Maybe I'm going to speak in front of a lot of people. I like this one because it's really accessible. It's not going to you may not even be like something that someone can notice you're doing, right? You can even just kind of, just enjoy, just kind of. Well, I'm just sitting here in a meeting, maybe. But all right, here we go.
Great.
Here we go. So we're going to start. Actually, let's take a nice deep breath in, and then let it go. And in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now in, 2, 3. Ribs. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In. 2. Ribs. Chest. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more time. In. 2. Ribs. Chest. Hold with a full lung. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. Just go into normal breathing. How do you feel?
Oh, elated.
Yeah.
Yeah. My back tension immediately dropped out. And also I love the tempo as it went. It's almost as if my brain were syncing up in that tempo. That thoughts, you know, there's that. All I'm hearing is that metronome in your voice, and I feel like I'm actually getting oxygen. Is that what it is? Is it oxygen to stressed muscles, or is it your body targeting it, or or is it
really,
just all brain?
So let's get nerdy. Let's get nerdy with it. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're working specifically with that technique and most breathwork techniques. We're working with the autonomic nervous system.
Okay.
So the autonomic nervous system governs about 70% of all your bodily functions. Things like your heart, things like your heart rate, your blood sugar, adrenaline, hormones, sexual function. All of those things are governed by your autonomic nervous system. And they are things that it's not like you can think, okay, heart, beat, right? And it's a good thing, right? Because if we went to sleep, we'd die, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
every time.
So right. So it's like every time I go to sleep, I die. You know.
That's a cool band name if you're like into emo.
Yeah, seriously.
Every time I die.
It is a little emo. It's like metal. No, every time I go to sleep, I die. It is a little crying.
It gets old.
Yeah.
You know, after a while. Yeah.
But basically, the autonomic nervous system governs all of these things. And we're all familiar with one of the states. There's two major states of the autonomic nervous system. One of them is the state of fight or flight, right? You've heard of that one. We've lived it, right? Yeah. And the average American is living it all the time. We're stuck there because the way the autonomic nervous system works, and this is what I cover in the book. I call it the modern human condition because we are living, our bodies and minds are just like the very first human beings that came off the assembly line, right? Yeah. We're basically the same make and model, is what I always like to say.
Yeah.
But we
looking at it through that lens really gives life a new perspective, a more pragmatic perspective. Really, like it's and it's more beautiful that way. I think you're in cooperation with nature, you know, as intended, and this is something we all know for sure. Like, we all come from... I got to give you this book called Ishmael. I think you'll really appreciate what it's all about. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, are we in harmony with nature?
About 10% of the time.
Right?
Yeah.
Think about this. So nothing about our situation right now is natural.
No.
You know? And we have artificial light. We have... Basically... Our physiology and our psychology is perfectly suited to living in Neolithic times. And if you think about it, we've only had about maybe 200, maybe 200 really, years of civilization.
True.
The way that we live now. Modern conveniences like electricity and things like that. You know, the Industrial Revolution. And so
that freaks me out a lot when I realize that, how many generations is 200 years ago?
Not a lot.
7, 8 generations or something, maybe 10. Maybe 10. That's just that's wild. I think about it all the time. Like, it wasn't that long ago that you were up in the morning because there wasn't air conditioning. You know?
Yeah, there wasn't. Exactly.
You realize that when you go to music festivals and you wake up in your tent, you're like, oh. Yeah.
Well, just think about that. The vast majority of all of human history, except for this little bit, has been a blip. Modernity is not our natural habitat. And the issue here is that, and you know, we live in Vincennes, right? And so we are very familiar with Red Skelton. Remember?
Yeah. Yep.
So everybody's heard of Red Skelton. For anybody who's not heard of Red Skelton, he's just this big comedian.
He actually grew up a block that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's a comedian, and there was
my grandpa said he used to walk around. I never met my grandpa, but he told my dad that Red Skelton used to walk around talking to himself, and everybody thought he was crazy, but he was working on comedy. Yeah, that's direct from my grandpa. That's awesome. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
but like,
nuts. Yeah, sorry to cut you off.
He went big. It was huge.
Yeah.
He was a national star, and I saw if you go on YouTube, you can find this interview. But what is it? Who was it? The Tonight Show.
Dick Cavett?
No, maybe it wasn't
Carson.
Johnny Carson. It was
Okay.
actually Johnny Carson. He was interviewing him, and he said, "Hey, are you trying this? Are you trying this exercise thing that everybody's talking about? As if this is this new thing, right?"
Yeah.
And it was. Like, think about this.
Yeah.
Exercise is really kind of a new invention.
Yeah.
Just think about
You never
that.
had to do it because you were so wore out.
That was
anyway.
your life before, right?
Far out.
But there came a time when modernity became so obvious. Hey, there's something missing, and it's killing us.
Yeah.
Right? We better exercise.
By atrophy, almost.
Yeah.
You know, like it's death by atrophy. That's what it seems like sometimes. You know.
Well, and
Like, how many people do you think back in the day were like, "I'm bored"? You know, no, they're like, "Oh, I can sit down."
yeah, finally.
Maybe, and then we're gonna have some carrots for dinner.
Some nuts and berries, you know,
You know what? And that's
and not be eaten by a lion.
when I was homeless. A little side thing here.
Yeah,
I really appreciated it in some weird
you
way.
liked being homeless.
For a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
for the given circumstances, it's not a forever thing, but like, I went hitchhiking when I was 19, and I think what we're talking about is a big reason why I had that urge to take off, because I knew something wasn't right. And I think a lot of people feel like that.
Yeah.
They're like, something's just not right, but they can't figure out what it is, and they look around. And I'm not trying to say that society's wrong. We're advancing. Evolution is uncomfortable. But you just realize that something's missing. Nobody knows what it is. They get depressed. They don't know why. Depression turned outward is anger. Anger turned inward is depression. You know? And so this is just a breeding ground for terrible living.
Well, it's not compatible with our
genetics.
You really, if you think about it, it's not compatible with our DNA. Our DNA was perfectly suited for living lives of high activity. Sugar was scarce.
Yeah.
Right? Now we have buildings full of it, and we call them candy stores, and we feed it to our kids.
Everybody's diabetic.
Well, exactly. We have rampant obesity and diabetes because we've solved a lot of problems that we were like, we like this sugar stuff. Well, back in the day, you know, or in most of human history, sugar was scarce and it was attached to nutrition, right? And we had this drive to eat something sweet because it was
That hits your dopamine, right?
well,
Chocolate.
Well, there's a lot of actually reward chemicals, right? But we naturally have that drive as a survival mechanism. You're well, that's where the good stuff is, right? And so.
Oh, so you're saying your body is not used to the amount of sugar?
Your body says it's, and this is something I like to call the voice of our Neolithic grandmother. Okay. And it's
poetic.
It sounds poetic, but I'm nothing like a poetic person. So it's going to have a punchline normally, but the point, they're bad jokes at best. Okay. But the point is, really, you're like, if you think about how out of touch your grandmother is, right? Your grandma tries to give you some advice, and maybe it's a little out of touch, right? Your Neolithic grandma, I mean, she's way out of touch, right?
Yeah.
Because there's millennia between us. But your Neolithic grandmother, right? Your genetic programming that was handed down to you from every person. That's the crazy thing. Every person, there's like a line of people between you and the very first people.
Yeah.
Unbroken.
Yeah.
And they passed down genetics that said, okay, these are the things that you're going to need to survive in this world. Mm-hmm. They were right for all but about 200 years.
There's a lot of evidence to support genetic memory.
Well, that's a whole.
Yeah, we could go on that later. But
the thing that I think the disconnect that you're talking about, the depression and things, we also have that disconnect between most of just our life. And it leads us to rumination, it leads us to anxiety, it leads us to these dopamine feedback loops.
Yeah.
And this is where breathwork really has helped me, and it's something that I think can help a lot of people, is that we're constantly receiving signals. And these signals are bottom-up signals. Now think about this.
Yeah,
were our ancestors. Imagine if our ancestors were on what we call a highway, right? Let me tell you, ancestors, this is going to be this thing called highways. You're going to go 60, probably 70 miles an hour, and you're going to go down in this metal box, and there's going to be these other metal boxes flying around you. What do you think that sends to your autonomic nervous system trying to protect you? Fight or flight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
we're so stuck in fight or flight that we're just constantly there. And then what do? We don't sleep well. And then I didn't sleep.
You were talking about eating, like pulling up to a drive-through while you're driving. So,
right.
This is something I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah.
Sitting down to eat. It's something your book made me think about. I was like, okay, you need to take a minute aside, and then your body, after you eat, your body goes into sort of a relaxed state. Every day after lunch at work, I'm like, and then it's a struggle for about an hour to get back in to the groove,
Right. And that's actually,
you actually get cold.
You're supposed to have a break. Your body...
A siesta.
A siesta would be fantastic.
Wouldn't that be great?
For our health.
Hey, so Jesse's got two things, guys.
That's my second one.
Here's a soapbox.
Yeah.
Tell him about... hit him with it, Jesse.
So I'm going to speak directly into the camera.
Yeah.
America, we've got to stop it with this daylight saving time.
Preach.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now let me tell you.
And I'll tell you right here, Jesse Coomer.
I don't want 10 o'clock at night. Sun shouldn't be in the sky.
Hey.
So the thing is, why do we do this to ourselves with daylight saving time? I'm going to I'm running for president.
Oh, yeah.
And the only thing I'm going to run on is to stop daylight saving time. Okay?
Yes.
That's everything. Nothing. I'm not going to do anything else. It will probably take, if I get it done my first year, I'm just going to go on vacation. It'll be 4 years.
And then let Congress deal with it.
I'm just going to take a break with the executive branch. Yeah. But maybe the other thing...
Go golfing a little bit,
Oh, yeah. That's. I mean, I don't golf, but...
I don't either.
Maybe I'd pick it up.
Yeah.
Maybe
you have time to
with
do
all of those votes.
Because see, that one thing you would get more done than the past 3 presidents.
See?
Something
done.
Yeah.
Done.
Oh, but hey...
100% satisfaction rating.
But add your next point.
Yeah.
What were we just talking about?
We were talking about siestas. Siestas have to be a thing, too.
That's a part of your platform.
Yeah. So, okay. So
Wim Hof, vice
you get
president.
a lunch break, and then you get a siesta break after lunch.
Yes. Paid. Yeah.
Just saying. We're gonna run for president. So,
dude, I'm down.
The reason why though, here's the thing: fight or flight is one state. Mm-hmm. Your digestive tract doesn't get the circulation. So your digestive tract shuts down during fight or flight. So if you're nervous, if you're stressed, and I think we all know what it's like to have dry mouth whenever you're stressed, right?
Yeah.
That is your digestive tract shutting down. Your body says, okay.
I mean, that is the beginning of the digestive tract.
That's the beginning of the digestive tract. And think about how many drugs we have now that are for indigestion, right? So many over the counter. Everybody's having indigestion. We have issues with heartburn.
Yeah.
We have issues with, high blood pressure, blood sugar. And how many, and we don't see them anymore. But there used to be a lot of Viagra commercials on TV, right?
Yeah.
And your reproductive system shuts down whenever you are in a state of fight or flight.
Yes.
Okay? So we have to figure out
we're mitigating consequences to short-term solutions. Like Viagra, and you're not looking towards the actual source, you're just treating the symptoms.
Yeah.
That's my big beef with Big Pharma.
Well, it's because we're all freaked out all the time, and we don't understand it. Yeah. So we don't know there's a free answer. Breathing is free.
Yes.
And so the other side of your autonomic nervous system is rest and digest. So there's fight or flight, and there's rest and digest. And we should be in rest and digest most of the day, and then in just acute moments of stress, we should go to fight or flight. Because fight or flight's good. Whenever you go to kickboxing, it's good to be in fight or flight. Yeah. If you're getting chased by an animal or you're hungry...
Sometimes I'll tap myself in the face before with the glove and just real quick, just a little wake up.
Well,
maybe
I'm
nuts.
Concussions are real, my friend.
Yeah, they are.
But so easy does it. But the thing is, what we have to do is learn how. first of all, we have to be aware. Oh, I'm in fight or flight, or I am in rest and digest. And then we have to say, which state do we want to be in?
Yes.
And in my book, I talk about how to use breath to go from fight or flight to get into rest and digest. Or if you need a little boost, but you don't want to have to caffeinate, you can produce your own adrenaline at will. And it's because we have access to our breath. Our breath is intimately connected to our autonomic nervous system. And we're the only animal in nature that's able to influence it. And it's through breathing that we can influence it. So if we breathe, here's just an easy test. Easy test for everybody at home. You ever seen a fight? Ever been in a fight? We talked about this beforehand.
Yeah.
He's seen a fight.
Yeah.
So think about how you breathe whenever you're about to get in a fight, right? Right? Probably through the mouth, probably in the chest, right? Just breathe like that for a second. Just
grunt.
You start to feel adrenaline because you are literally sending signals to your autonomic nervous system.
Your vascular system is dilating completely.
All your skeletal muscles, right? They get the dilation. Now, breathe like you're reading a book. You know?
So that'd be through the nose probably.
Through the nose, maybe down into the belly, nice and relaxed.
Yeah, the nose to belly.
It's literally that simple. Now, with breathing techniques and with proper breathing form, we can really, really get great results. And what happens is we find that so many people are stuck in fight or flight, and all they need to do is have some kind of a tool to help bring them down into a restful state. They get better sleep. When you get better sleep, you don't have to caffeinate so much. You're nicer to people. You're not cranky all the time.
No crashes.
Yeah. And so it's something that is as simple as breathing, and it's free.
Yeah. There's a good parallel here, the point that I want to make. It's the whole Wim Hof method that you've learned and some of the other stuff that you've added to for your own little personal flavor is really fundamental stuff. Like what you were just saying. But there's a parallel here in that your book is awesome, man. It's
Thank you.
Descriptive, but the prose is immaculate. I'm serious. You must read a lot of Thoreau. Like,
I do like Thoreau.
I figured I could tell by your style, but it's just fluent and just simple, but eloquent.
Thank you.
No, and I think that there's the reason you write like that, or at least part of the reason, is because you're used to teaching. Well, you're a teacher for one, and then secondly, the Wim Hof method has taught you that there's some really obvious stuff that we're all kind of just bypassing, like breathing. Like,
it's the fundamentals. It always comes down to fundamentals.
It really does.
You know? What are you putting in your body? You know, what are you drinking? What are you eating? How much are you sleeping? How are you breathing? And the thing that, like I said, it constantly blows me away, is that when I wake up every morning, I'm like, this stuff works.
I'm getting to do this again.
I get to do this again.
Yeah, when you say so, like, I get to do something
Isn't
without
that
thinking,
the best?
Yeah, that's the greatest.
You know? And
it's like the podcast.
It's like this podcast. I can tell you're having a great time. Yeah. You know? And I'm having a great time.
Fires me up, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And when you're doing something you love, and especially if it's helping people, and it's also helpful for yourself, so it's edifying for yourself. You know, it's a beautiful thing. And so when I wrote the book literally because I was like, the book that I want to be out there does not exist. I wanted to have some kind of a
play
primer.
the song you want to hear.
Right. I wanted a primer. Yeah. And the thing is, there's lots of different kinds of breath work out there. And a lot of it does come with an esoteric tradition. Like, not everybody wants to learn pranayama. Because
little dogmatic.
Some of them are very dogmatic.
Yeah.
And so I want people to know you can be religious, you can be spiritual, you can be an atheist, you can be whatever you want to be. You can be all those things at the same time.
So this is the Alcoholics Anonymous of breathing. Of bad breathing.
Of bad breathing? Yeah. It doesn't matter, what you believe. Yeah. It works because of the way your physiology and your psychology
and the empirical
connected.
Evidence is right there for anyone to read.
Right.
Where do we say you could find...
So you can go to WimHofMethod.com if you want to learn all about Wim Hof Method.
And then your
also
site
in my book I do have a annotated, or I have a bibliography at the end. You can look at the thank you. You can look at the citations that I put in there.
Nice picture, dude.
So, hey, thanks.
I just saw that. You look like Spanky.
That picture, I've used it for like everything. I was doing a workshop, and Aaron P., like I call him the wizard. He's the greatest videographer and photographer I've ever met. And he took that picture just on a whim, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to use it for everything now. Because this is the best picture I think I've ever had taken.
On a whim.
Hey, it was a Wim Hof Method workshop. But, when it comes down to it, you don't even have to do Wim Hof Method. Not everybody wants to sit in the ice, right? And that's another thing, reason why I was like, okay, I want people to understand. Now, I can talk to you all day. Maybe on another podcast, we'll do an ice bath.
Oh, we'll do another one, yeah.
But
I'm going to have a super meeting of a greatest hits, as it were, of everybody together on one podcast. We haven't figured out the specifics
like a reunion
yet, but
or something.
Well, get like my top 5 or whatever and bring them in and bring up some topics. I don't know. I haven't roughed that out yet, but I like where, it's a super jam. Like all my favorite concerts, all the great bands at Bonnaroo would get together at the end. Like John Paul Jones played with... all right, so we're running out of time. So we've reached the end of our podcast. Jesse has to go. He has some responsibilities to attend to. No, I'm kidding. It's on us. So, Jesse, thank you so much for coming by, man. I wanted to tell you real quick on the way out that I looked up to you, man, since I met you. I mean that. And I was like, this guy's cool, and he's got his shit together. And that was... I could respect you because a lot of people that had their shit together when I was on drugs and out there running the streets, I resented them, but I didn't resent you, and it's because you showed a little bit of kindness. Came to that jail that day, and we've come a long way since then.
Yes,
millions of miles, Well,
I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed with where you are, and this podcast is actually I've listened to every single one.
Awesome,
I don't do that to many podcasts, Alex. So you're doing something right.
Yeah, so, all right, thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming to Kick It. You can reach Jesse on his Facebook page at Jesse Coomer, or you can also reach him on his YouTube channel, The Midwestern Method.
Actually, my YouTube channel is just Jesse Coomer now.
Is it? Okay.
But, and you can also, you can check out my books at jessecoomer.com.
One more.
Pretty easy, jessecoomer.com, and it's on Amazon, and I've got the audiobook as well. The audiobook has guided breathwork tracks at the end.
That's great.
And so,
nice little bonus.
A lot of great things to enjoy.
All right. Thank you guys for coming to Kick It. Be well.
Can I kick it?
Yes, you can. That's what I named it after. Dude.
I love it.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah. Hey, this has been fun. A lot of fun. So, yes.
It's freaking almost...